This is Harare, the capital city of Zimbabwe. The COVID-19 pandemic has scourged every sector in the economic, social, and political running of the country. Indeed, the Zimbabwean government has managed the pandemic commendably, as evidenced by the low statistics of its spread across the country. A raft of measures employed by government to protect citizens from COVID-19 have proved to work in the interest of the public. In the transport sector, government halted private operators from operating as a measure to centrally control the faring of people and bring sanity in the sector with respect to keeping the COVID-19 regulations. What has been the public's experience under this arrangement? We hear from the commuters themselves.
Kuchimira kumakiuzi kwakaoma, especially this days because vane huori hwakanyanyisa. Vanhu vanenge vachingopindira, unoramba wakamira palaini kana uda kufambawo zvakanaka uri munhu ari straight forward. Vanhu vanenge vachingopinda, saka utomboenda kubasa kwacho unotozopedzisira waenda kumakombi aya ari pamutemo.
Personally, when I come from home, I use public transport. So I come to school, buses are late most of the times, and I have to resort to the private cars, and they cost, for a person my age, I can't afford certain amounts. And when I come back from school, the buses are also late, which consumes my time to read.
But where is the root of the problem? What threw the commuting public in dire straits?
The Zimbabwean transport sector has always been in a crisis. Pre-independence, the colonial administration had a kind of monopoly, and local black business people were also involved in the bus transport sector to transport people to their rural areas and to the cities. However, their buses were very few, but towards independence and immediately after independence, they became dominant and started ferrying people. However, the government had already established the passenger company, ZUPCO, which to all intents and purposes was supposed to complement the National Railways of Zimbabwe in terms of public transport system. ZUPCO collapsed under a cloud of corruption and other things, and this created a huge gap, and the private commuter-owned bus operators that came in as a result of deregularization in the early 90s kind of covered that gap. But now with the worsening road infrastructure situation, a lot of the private operators have had their fleets, they have been broken down in many respects, that they cannot provide long distance transport, they cannot meet the demands of the increasing population in urban centers. And so the situation we now have, where the government during the COVID-19 lockdown, they have tried to resuscitate ZUPCO. The pace has been atrociously slow. They have not met the demand of the people.
The government actually banned or temporarily banned the combis from the roads as a result of COVID. So we take it as a COVID ban. So this ban came as a result of the disorganization that was in our sector. Had it been that, we just feel had it been that we were organized, maybe they could have actually accepted us. But however, the length of the ban is now actually raising so many eyebrows.
Having established the cause of the problem, we inquire on how much effect there has been on the commuting public as a result of the shortage of transport.
So the crisis has been seen in the numbers of people converging at our urban center termini. We have seen people stranded along the streets. We have seen people trying to hike private vehicles towards their destinations. But we have also had cases of abuse of women, of youths at these illegal pickup points.
We have seen lorries actually ferrying passengers, actually with the capacity of up to 100 passengers in a lorry to 150. And sometimes in a very small vehicle, the Toyota Wish, more than 11 passengers in that vehicle. In the Honda Fits, we are having more than 5 passengers, more than 6 passengers in one vehicle, which is supposed to carry 4 passengers or 3 passengers, excluding the driver. So we have seen everyone saying, I'm now a PSV. Public transport is not meant for private operators, for private motorists. It's meant for public service vehicles. The traveling public are suffering through rape cases are being reported every day. Robberies are reported every day. I think we have got an example where Chinoi students were actually given transport by these vehicles, and they were dumped in the Mapinga, in the Great Dyke Pass, in the Mapinga mountain. They were just being left there for dead after being robbed.
The situation is so dire. Some have failed to send their children to school. Some have failed to even feed their families. They've even moved out of their lodgings or places of where they were living. To imagine that of the 50,000 combis, they were employing at least directly, at least 120,000 employees. That is the driver and the conductor. Then we have the auto electricians, we have the mechanics, we have the fuel attendants, we have the spare parts attendants, and all other downstream industry players, like those who sell airtime, those who sell food in the ranks. All those were affected. And, we have about 1 million family members, direct employees and their dependents, indirect employees and their dependents. We have over 1 million people affected in terms of their livelihood, in terms of their education, in terms of their social life, and in terms of even the general way of living. It changed tremendously.
The harm that has been done to community as a result of the ineffective transport system cannot be overstated. The people themselves have confessed to the system's failure to satiate their needs as commuters. The situation, a crisis, as some have called it, needs to be addressed. The people deserve the best of service delivery as citizens of this country. The status quo has to be shaken with vigor if improvements should be witnessed in the transport sector. But what is it that needs to be done differently if we are to draw smiles on the faces of aggrieved commuters?
Personally, for the students' advantage, I'd advise that they give us like a bus that only stands for pupils of certain schools.
Zupco inofana kuwedzera mabhazi ari kuita mashoma. Pese pateti tifamba mabhazi anenge ari mashoma. Zupco tinoikumbira kuti iwedzere transport yemabhazi. Chero tichienda kumba tinoikumbira zvakare kuti transport yemabhazi ngaiwedzere.
They must put a bus for the school children or to put more buses to us.
We need to work together in finding a solution, a sustainable solution, and we need to make sure that that solution we would have agreed and provided together works, and everyone needs to play their part so that we alleviate the transport situation that is so dire, not only in the cities, not only in the CBD, but across the country. Because we have seen or heard reports of people being robbed, being mugged, as they make use of any available form of transport.
We have got it in other countries. In South Africa, we have got it in Kenya. In Kenya, they call them circles. In Zambia, we've got the same scenario. But in Zimbabwe, we've got in Bulawayo. Why can't we embrace our homegrown solution? That's why I said before we cross to Germany, squandering the people's budget, why can't we just drive to Bulawayo or 6 hours or 5 hours drive, then we get our solution? Or bring the Bulawayo people and their council to present to the government and we move forward, rather than getting to other countries, yet we've got our homegrown solution.
The people have spoken. In as much as government policy rests on feeding the hungry public, let there be huge strides towards a long-term solution that seals the holes of this policy as soon as is possible. The commuters are deserving of the best treatment. They have suffered enough.